Hello and welcome. So, today we are going to be talking about three fragrances because you guys may agree that we've had so many launches this year that it's almost like we have to be a bit more cautious about what we pick up and what we decide not to pick up because you could end up with a fragrance that's redundant in your collection, like you have the same scent profile over and over and over. So, what I'm trying to do now is make sure that I apply a bit more like discernment when I decide, if I'm going to pick up a fragrance or not. So, I do a bit more research. So, today I want to share with you three fragrances that have just been launched. They have not gone viral, they have been hyped to a certain extent, but what I can tell you is that they have been highly anticipated. One of them is from Guerlain, and it is Vetiver Fauve, and the other two are from Mancera. One is Intense Instant Crush. So Instant Crush has a cult following, has been a very, very popular fragrance for many years. And now we have a flanker, which is Intense Instant Crush. In addition to those two fragrances, I also have another one from Mancera, which is a vanilla-centric fragrance. And this one is Xplicit Vanilla. So today we're going to talk in detail. It's going to be a good conversation because I have quite a bit to say about each. Don't expect that I'm going to love them all because that's not the case, but I will share with you in detail. But before we jump right in, if this is your first time here, I'm Arahi, and I'm your fragrance concierge because I'm totally committed to creating the best fragrance experience for you. I upload videos multiple times a week, and on this channel, we love to talk about all types of fragrances. So if that sounds like the type of content that you're interested in and like a good plan, then please consider subscribing, give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget, leave a comment. Let's go. All right, so before we get started, of course, we have a new tradition now on the channel because if not, you guys will ask me in the comment section, and it's multiple of you, so then I have to keep writing the same thing over and over. But today for lipstick, I used a liner that's an oldie but a goodie. This is a lip liner from MAC, and the name of it is Cork, okay? C-O-R-K. I will have everything in the description box for you. Now, if you look at it, you may think, okay, Arahi, seems to be a very dark lip liner. Well, when I apply certain lipsticks, especially if I'm doing a nude lipstick, with the tone of my skin, if I apply a dark liner, it makes everything like blend better and look better and be a little bit more flattering. So I typically use, a lip liner such as this one, but I have bought and bought and bought this lip liner for years. And I absolutely love it. When in doubt, when I don't know what lip liner to use with a lipstick, it doesn't matter what color the lipstick may be, I pull my Cork lip liner and it works beautifully. Now, the lipstick today is again from the Chanel Rouge Duo Ultra Tenue collection. I have, guys, like 18 of these, okay? So I'm on a roll. I go through phases where I'll use like the same lipstick formula for whatever reason over and over, or from the same brand. So this month I may be on Chanel. Next month I may be on Lisa Eldridge. Next month I may be on Charlotte. It just really, really depends. Now, I already told you in past videos, but in case you missed it, okay, so the reason that I love this lipstick, it's because it's a non-transfer lipstick, and it's called the Duo, okay, for a reason, because it has two formulas, right? So on this side, it has the lipstick, and on this side, it has like a serum that you apply to your lips so that your lipstick will not transfer. You can eat with this. You can do whatever you want with this lipstick. It's not going anywhere until you literally remove it with like some sort of makeup remover. It's just not going to go anywhere. So I absolutely love this lipstick. I will leave it for you. Oh, and by the way, this one is 54 Strawberry Red, but I will have everything linked for you in the description box if you're interested in picking it up. All right, so let's go ahead and start with Guerlain Vetiver Fauve. Now, I don't have a full bottle yet, and we'll talk more about that in a minute, but I did so kindly receive this sample. It comes, because you guys know Guerlain is very extra. So it comes in this beautiful box, and you open it, and then here you have like this picture. Isn't that gorgeous, guys? That's the fragrance, and this is like, you know, one of their marketing pictures or something like that. And then you remove this, right? If I can get it out. You remove it, and then there's a card. And the card, let me show you, the card says Guerlain. Now, the card doesn't say, you know, Arahi, thank you, or anything like that for being a customer. No, it is just, which is fine, right? It is just literally like a card that you could use, I guess, to write a thank you note, or to, you know, if it's being gifted, which why would you gift this sample? But anyway, I just figured that they just wanted me to spray the fragrance here and try it. And then after that card, finally, you get to a little pouch. And the little pouch will have the fragrance sample in it. They kindly sent me 2 of these, okay? And I'm glad that they did, because you guys know how I feel about these little 2 or 2.5 little, you know, little samples. But I used the first one completely, and from this one, I just have like a little bit left. So let's talk about this fragrance. So you guys may recall that during a Saturday morning Chatty Scent Corner, I shared with you this fragrance, that it was about to be launched, and I shared with you the notes. And I told you that the one concern I had is the fact that this is a vetiver-centric fragrance. And sometimes, a lot of the time, right, the vetiver pulls a little bit masculine on my skin, so I had concerns. Now, I am so glad that they sent me this fragrance, and that I just didn't blind buy the bottle, which, because I was planning to do that. But I'm so glad that I did not, okay, because we need to talk about this fragrance. So this is a Delphine Gel creation. So she's the nose/perfumer behind it. And the entire vision behind this creation of hers is to present vetiver in a different way, right? So vetiver is known to be a little bit dark, a little bit smoky, you know, and she wanted to present it in a very kind of fresh and bright and alive kind of way. So that was the inspiration behind creating this vetiver-centric fragrance. Now, I am not going to say that this fragrance is polarizing, but some people will consider it polarizing. What I can tell you is that this fragrance is not for everybody. It's really not for everybody. And at that, it is, of course, not a safe blind buy. This is one that you want to make sure, you know, just don't go sniff it in store. You need to try it on skin. You know, just allow yourself like a full day of wearing it on skin to see how it reacts to your skin chemistry and how you feel about it. That's what I really recommend. Now, that being said, I will also tell you that, in my humble opinion, this fragrance is a breath of fresh air. And let me explain why I say that. So who is this fragrance for? This fragrance is for those of you who have endeavored in the past into vetiver-centric fragrances and have been thoroughly disappointed because they pull, you know, like the vetiver pulls on your skin a bit smoky, a bit too dense, a bit dark, you know, or it could just pull masculine if you're a lady, right? So for those of you that have found vetiver fragrances to be entirely masculine, this is a fragrance that you may want to try if you're interested in having vetiver, a vetiver-centric fragrance in your collection. Now, if you have always not liked vetiver, whether you're a gent or a lady, if you're not into vetiver, then this fragrance is absolutely not for you. But if you want to try a fragrance that will bring a different spin to vetiver, then this is one you need to get your nose on. So I'm going to go ahead and spray the little bit that I have left here on my skin, because as I speak to you, I want to make sure that, that I'm triggering every thought that I had when I tried this fragrance, and I did wear it a couple of times. So let me just start by saying that this fragrance, to some, will have an opening that will be reminiscent of like Aventus. But this is not Aventus at all, because that's just that first, second sniff. After that, the fragrance, you will realize, is sweet, It is very fruity in the opening. It has an exquisitely beautiful opening where you are going to find the note of fig and pineapple, not dominant, but very, very present. Because the dominant note and star of this fragrance is definitely the note of vetiver. But in the opening is fresh, by the way. Yes, it's a vetiver-centric fragrance, but we have a fresh opening. This is not a freshie, guys, but it does have a fresh opening that is also very fruity, and it is sweet. Not sickly sweet, not even sweet. It's just like a little bit sweet. Now in this opening, in the backdrop, you are going to pick up on some woodiness. There is an inherent woody quality to this fragrance, at least on my skin, to my nose, and on paper. All throughout the olfactory journey and throughout the wear of the fragrance, you are going to pick up on that woodiness. In addition to that woodiness, you're also going to find that the fragrance does have a tropical vibe. And that tropical vibe is really coming from that fruity aspect, but there is a freshness to the fragrance in the opening that I really can't explain because I'm not used to having a vetiver fragrance open necessarily in a fresh manner, which is why for me, this fragrance is quite groundbreaking. And I think that Delphine Gel did achieve her vision of giving us a different perspective, to call it something, on a vetiver-centric fragrance. Now, I have to also say that it seems to me that that Guerlain this year is on a roll to be groundbreaking, because you guys may recall, and if you haven't seen that review and you are a Guerlain fan, you may want to check that review. So Guerlain launched earlier this year another fragrance by the name of Pêche Mirage. And I think it was a dedicated review because I had so much to say about that fragrance. Even though it's supposed to be a peach-centric fragrance, it is a fragrance that to me was quite groundbreaking also. So it just seems to me that Guerlain is now going deeper into the creative niche realm. As the journey continues, you are going to find the same notes that you picked up in the opening are most likely the same notes and accords that you will pick up until you kind of approach dry down. But what you are going to find is that as the fragrance continues to evolve, it does intensify a bit. It does become a bit earthy. There is an earthy quality to this fragrance, and there is a tad of greenness. Now, the greenness is not one that should really concern you. What I would say is that the earthiness plays a bigger role than that greenness that I pick up in the fragrance. But all in all, you're still going to get the fruitiness. The fruitiness of the opening does not intensify, and the sweetness doesn't either, by the way, but you are going to get a bit of more woodiness. You are going to get that earthiness. You are going to get that tad of greenness. And you are going to definitely pick up on that vetiver quality that, that the fragrance has become like infused with. But the beauty of this fragrance, in my opinion, really happens at the dry down, because the dry down is an exquisite balance of what you experienced in the opening of the fragrance with those fruity notes, that sweetness, that freshness. It all comes together beautifully in the final blend at the dry down. But in addition to that, when we picked up on the woodiness in the olfactory journey and we picked up on that earthiness and that tad of greenness, all of it comes together beautifully at the dry down, but it is like within a hug. It's like being hugged by like a caramelly accord that I really can't even explain, but that I truly believe it is coming from the tonka. So at the dry down, you are going to get an exquisitely beautiful, sweet, fruity, not very fruity, but sweet scent that in the backdrop is going to have some woodiness with an earthy and a tad of green quality to it. But all in all, it is a very, very balanced dry down. While you go through different accords and tonalities in the olfactory journey, at the dry down, it seems like everything comes together. Everything that you recall throughout the olfactory journey will all come together beautifully at the dry down, delivering the scent that I just described. To me, this is a fragrance that has a bit of maturity to it. This is vetiver for like a grown-up is how I would describe it, truly. This is a fragrance that I think is best suited for the ages of 30 plus. And at that, you can use it for any occasion, day or night, and it is extremely unisex. To me, this fragrance does not lean to the feminine or to the masculine side. If you ask me to pick a lean, if you push me to pick a lean, I would say that it leans a tad to the feminine side. This is not your regular vetiver fragrance that we automatically expect is going to lean to the masculine side or be completely masculine. This is totally different, and at that I can tell you that the scent profile itself is completely new in my collection. I have never sniffed anything like this. There is nothing that this fragrance reminds me of from a Guerlain in the past perspective. There is no other fragrance right now that I have sniffed that's in the market that, immediately came to mind, with the exception of the pineapple in the opening, giving me a bit of that Aventus feel. But you're going to get that from most fragrances that open with that fresh pineapple, because that is inherent to the DNA of Aventus. And, we've all become very familiar with it. So whenever we pick that up, people will automatically say Aventus. There is no Aventus here, believe me. This fragrance is completely groundbreaking in my opinion. This fragrance is also very versatile because it has no oud, it has no musk. So like I said before, you can use it for any occasion. You could go to the office with it. You can do whatever you want with it. And I also think that it'll work for any season of the year. I don't think that it's limited to spring, summer, or anything like that. You can use it for any season of the year. As far as performance, it is giving me no more than 7 hours, of course, without overspraying. And I'm getting that not just on my skin, but curiously enough, I am getting the same performance on paper. All in all, when it comes to will I be picking up a full bottle or not, I can tell you that I am still on the fence. I feel that what I really want to do is get myself a 5 ml or a 10 ml decant and really give myself the opportunity to use the fragrance for 2 days in a row and really come to understand how I feel about it, right? Because right now I'm still on the fence. The feel that I get with this fragrance is that of an individual who has no boundaries. They do not put themselves in a box, and they do not put others in a box whatsoever. They really believe, they're confident, they're very grounded, but they really believe that anything, just about anything, can be achieved, through discipline. And it is a very perfectionist type of individual. That's truly the feel that I get with this fragrance. It's not that they're rigid or inflexible. No. On the contrary, it's that they're very, very open-minded, and they're just not willing to be in anybody's box or even create a box of their own. That is the feel that I get from this fragrance. For me, I am not sure that I'm going to pick up this fragrance a full bottle or not yet. Like I said before, I would like to try it again, for a longer period of time, and I will circle back with you and let you know if I did pick up a full bottle or not. I just want to make sure that at this price point, if I pick it up, it's because it is a deep love. I just don't think I can justify at this point picking up a fragrance, at this price point when it is not a deep love. This is one that I do think that you may end up loving. I think many people will, but I also know many people will not enjoy this fragrance at all. So I highly recommend that you get yourself a sample and you try it, unless you are a avid vetiver lover. Then you can go ahead and pick it up and you will be fine, because this is quite groundbreaking and done quite nicely. So the next fragrance that I want to share with you today is from Mancera, and this one is Xplicit Vanilla. Now, this is a fragrance that was launched, of course, now in 2025, and it was launched maybe 2 weeks ago, if not 3 or something like that, but I picked it up, and I was not sure that I was going to pick it up, by the way, but I decided that I wanted to give it a try, and I did go in store and I did, spray it, and it was interesting. So I decided to pick up the bottle, and just give it a try, because how could you go wrong with vanilla? Well, I do have a lot to say about this fragrance, so let's jump into it. So to me, this is the Vanilla Lovers fragrance. This is a fragrance that If you are into vanilla fragrances and you want one that performs very well and that is a basic staple in your vanilla fragrances collection, then this is one that you may want to consider. This is not a vanilla fragrance, in my opinion, for someone who has a vast collection. If you have like Guerlain vanillas in your collection, you may find this one to be redundant. But let's talk about the journey so that you further understand what I'm trying to say. So this fragrance opens with a very dominant vanilla, and the fragrance is quite ambery. It is not very sweet in the opening, even though you are also going to pick up clearly on a dark chocolate note. That dark chocolate note is present not only in the opening, but it is linearly, keyword, linearly, going to be with you at the dry down and throughout the entire wear of the fragrance. That dark chocolate note, while being dark, it's like semi-sweet. It's not a bitter dark chocolate. It's not like a dark chocolate that has like 94% cacao in it. No, it's just a dark chocolate. But it is very nicely done. I don't think that the smell is synthetic in any way. I think it's quite realistic, but it is definitely the blend between the vanilla and the dark chocolate with that ambery quality base to the scent. So at the dry down, what you are going to get is a vanilla-centric ambery scent that has touches of that dark chocolate on a backdrop of like what seems to come across to me as like a caramelly kind of woody background. And at that woodiness is a bit creamy. Like that dry down has a creaminess to it that I really can't explain, but I do pick up on it clearly. Still, the vanilla will be dominant at the dry down and throughout the entire wear. Primarily what your nose is going to pick up is on a very, very dominant vanilla, very nice vanilla. It's not a smooth vanilla. It's a refined vanilla, but it's not smooth. It is a very, very present and in-your-face vanilla because we are talking about a Mancera fragrance after all. The other thing that I did want to discuss with you, because I'm sure you're wondering, is there is a note of oud here. Well, I have to tell you that I don't pick up on the oud at all. It's not even like a level 1, which would be like the weakest oud that you would pick up in a fragrance. I don't pick up on the oud at all whatsoever. I am telling you, because I even tried the fragrance. I mean, you can tell there's a little bit of a dent already because I tried the fragrance several times looking for the oud and resprayed looking for the oud. And I am telling you, I am not picking up on oud at all on my skin or on paper. I think that Xplicit Vanilla is a fragrance that is truly unisex. I don't think it leans in any direction. As I said in the beginning, to me, this fragrance is more of like a core staple, right? Like a foundational fragrance within your collection as it relates to vanilla, because I am telling you, you could probably layer this fragrance with so many other scent profiles that you have in your collection. That's how I see this fragrance. At that, it is unisex, and I think it's best suited for the ages of 25 plus, but I also don't think that this is a fragrance that I would personally pull now during the summer season, you know, with 90 degrees Fahrenheit plus weather. No, this to me is more like a 70 degree and lower, so I would say fall, spring, and winter. Definitely the perfect fit for this fragrance. Could you get away with wearing it during the summer? Well, wear whatever you want, as I always tell you. Of course you can, especially if you layer it like with a freshie. I think that would be unbelievable. But this to me is primarily for the fall, spring, and winter seasons. The performance of this fragrance, as to be expected because we are talking about Mancera, is exceptional. This fragrance will give me 8+ hours without having to overspray, with a very strong projection during the first 2 hours plus, and then a moderate sillage that will get you compliments. All in all, I think that this is a very solid release from Mancera, but I have experienced other vanilla fragrances from this house, and I must say that the differences that I find between one and the other at times is kind of negligible, because I'm getting the same vanilla that Mancera uses in all of their vanilla loaded or vanilla centric fragrances is the same vanilla that I'm getting here. But this one for me is like, if you are a Mancera collector, this is like a basic staple because this is the vanilla that you can layer just about anything with. That's really what I get. But at that, I'm sorry to have to say it, but I'm going to say it. To me, this fragrance is linear. I don't get much of a journey with this fragrance. It is very linear. It's a vanilla fragrance from beginning to end and throughout the wear, and that's it. I'm not really getting much of anything else. But at that, it is a very nicely done vanilla fragrance. Will this be redundant in your collection? If you have another Mancera vanilla-centric fragrance in your collection, I think that you do not need this one unless you're just so much into vanilla fragrances that you just want to pick up this one to add yet another high-quality, exceptionally beautiful vanilla fragrance. But that is what it is. Now, will this be redundant if you're not a Mancera collector or you don't have other, Mancera vanilla fragrances in your collection? No, then this is perfect. If you are a vanilla fragrances collector, will this be redundant? I dare say yes, because if you have, for example, Guerlain fragrances, vanilla-centric fragrances in your collection, whether it's the extrait one or the regular Eau de Parfum, any of the vanilla-centric fragrances from Guerlain, and you add this one, this would be redundant. Could you layer with them to make those last since they're quite pricier than this one? Yes. I mean, we could be very flexible and versatile when it comes to this type of core basic fragrance, right? But at the end of the day, what I'm trying to say is that if you're not in the market for just a basic, regular, high quality vanilla fragrance, then this is not for you. This is not one that I believe is going to add anything, groundbreaking to your vanilla fragrances collection. I am sure that when you sniff this fragrance, it will bring to mind other vanillas in your collection. Most specifically, if you own any Montal or Mancera fragrances, that is what you're going to get. Specific for me, do I regret picking up this full bottle? I really don't, guys, because I spray so much. I test and I layer and I do so much on a daily basis. That's why I ended up picking it up, And at that, I could have picked up a smaller bottle, but decided to go with this one. I mean, I have sprayed this so much already that it already has a dent. And for me to make a dent in a fragrance, it takes quite a bit. So I really don't regret picking it up. And I'm also glad that I was able to provide this review for you. But this is definitely one that, unless you're looking for a basic core vanilla fragrance that is very ambery, with those little touches just to give it a different twist of the dark chocolate. If you're not in the market for something like that, then this is not the fragrance for you, because that is what you are going to get. Let us know if you've tried this fragrance. I know some of you have probably already picked it up. Let us know your thoughts. All right, so let's go ahead and have ourselves a good conversation about the second most recent launch from Mancera, which is Intense Instant Crush. Now, for this one, I'm going to be reviewing it a little bit different than how I typically do, because I really need to speak to the difference between this one and the OG. So I call this one the controversial one, and I'll explain myself in a minute. So the OG, you may agree with me, has a cult following. There are people who absolutely love the OG, and for good reason. I happen to be one of them. But there are a couple of notes and accords involved in the difference between this one and the OG that you need to be aware of, that actually make the marked difference between the OG and the Intense. So the Intense truly, to me, is designed to be a bit more of an intense version of the OG, but there's also a twist. So I can't say that this one was just designed or that what you're going to get out of this one is just a more intense version, because that is not the case. So the two notes and accords that I'm speaking of is first, ginger. So they have removed the note of ginger from this one, which has resulted in the opening of this one not being as fresh, spicy as that you get in the OG. In addition to that, they have added the note of leather to this one. And By doing that, the leather adds like an additional bit of like darkness and depth to the fragrance, quite a bit of character, but it does make a marked difference. In addition to that, when they removed the ginger, they also added the note of salted caramel to this one. So that also gives this fragrance quite the twist. All in all, if you are an OG lover, if you love the OG, you're still going to find the DNA of the OG in this one. But there are those differences which are not negligible. They're really not. There is quite a difference between these two fragrances, even though they both have the exact same DNA. The other thing that I wanted to bring to your attention is that you would agree that the OG was more of a unisex leaning towards the feminine side kind of fragrance. That is not the case with this one. This one to me is truly a unisex fragrance with no lean whatsoever. Now, for those of you, for those ladies that are thinking, okay, Arahi, so does that mean that it's unisex and may lean to the masculine side? Well, it depends on what it does on your skin, but I can tell you that I don't think that this leans to the masculine side at all. It is to me definitely a unisex fragrance, and I believe that it was done on purpose because with the first one, there was definitely a lean to the feminine side. I also find this new one to be less musky. It's still musky, and we'll talk more about that in a minute, but I find it to be less musky with much more depth and character, but it does have that tad of earthiness and a creamy woodiness that comes with it. So the fragrance opens warm, spicy with a citrusy quality and like a little bit of a leather note. It is a little bit of a faint kind of leather note, but very, very, very smooth. I don't think that you'll really have a problem with it. As the journey continues, you will find that the fragrance does become a bit sweeter. It's never a very sweet fragrance. I think it's actually maybe less sweet than the OG, but it does become a bit sweeter. And you're also going to pick up on the rose. Now, the rose is such a fresh rose that it's almost like to the point of dewy. At the dry down, you're going to get an exquisitely smooth, but a little bit sweet, slightly spicy, vanilla-infused scent that has a backdrop of like some creamy woodiness and a floral presence. It is a beautiful, beautiful dry down. I find this fragrance to be kind of addictive, but the OG was also addictive. But this one, I am really, really enjoying this one. I think you have figured out by now that for me, this one is a deep love. This is truly to me a unisex fragrance. It really does not lean to the feminine side as the OG does. But at that, I don't want the ladies to be concerned that this one may lean to the masculine side because I don't think it leans at all. This is just a fragrance that has quite a bit of character, of depth. It is just an exquisitely beautiful fragrance that I think is suited for the ages of 25 plus. You can use it for any season of the year, any occasion, day or night. Another thing that I absolutely love, of course, and this is a Mancera fragrance, is that this one definitely gives me above the 8-hour mark with a very strong projection and a moderate sillage. And the first time I wore this fragrance, I immediately received a compliment. So I can tell that there is definitely a trail to this fragrance. All in all, I have to tell you that this one is my top recommendation today. This is a deep love for me, and I really, really think you would totally enjoy this fragrance. If you really love the OG and you want one that really brings more of an intense quality, then this one is one that you will love. If you thought that the OG, did not lean to the feminine side, but you still loved it, I don't think that this one is going to work for you because this one to me is truly unisex. So this is a fragrance that I think that you will enjoy if you're looking for more oomph and character to the OG, and if you, of course, love the DNA of the OG. All right, guys, so today I just wanted to come here and share with you my thoughts on these new fragrances. And now I'm going to give you my recap, which I think you already know how I feel. So when it comes to the Vetiver Fauve from Guerlain, I am very much on the fence about that fragrance. It is a lovely fragrance. I do like the scent. I just need to really love the fragrance in order to pick it up, because that is quite a high price point. But the quality is there. The groundbreaking, it really is pulling me. The way that the vetiver was done, the olfactory journey, it's just exquisite. But I will let you know if I end up picking it up or not. Now, when it comes to Xplicit Vanilla, honestly, if you have vanillas in your fragrance, this one may be redundant. It has been done very, very nicely. It is a fragrance that if you had been, saving up to buy one of the Guerlain Vanillas, you could easily just pick up this one and be very, very happy and save yourself a couple $100s. But if you have quite a bit of vanillas, and not just in niche, even in Middle Eastern, because we've had such strong vanilla, incredible vanilla fragrances within designer, within Middle Eastern, and within, Western niche. So if you have that amount of vanillas and you are really not in the market for a vanilla, what I'm telling you is that this is not one that you have to go out of your way to go pick it up, because to me, this one is not groundbreaking. It's just designed to be a very beautiful vanilla fragrance that performs exquisitely, that you can layer with just about anything. You can wear it on its own. It's for me for cooler weather. So yeah, that's how I feel about that one. I am happy that I picked it up. Definitely will be layering with it quite a bit and using it on its own. Now, when it comes to Intense Instant Crush, that is my love of the day. Oh my goodness. This fragrance is just so incredibly exquisite. I think that what it is that they added to this fragrance everything that I wanted in the OG. The OG I love, and it will always be in my collection. But this one, there's an added character and oomph to it that I'm really, really loving. So this one just gives me a very, very different kind of vibe compared to the OG. So for me, you know that this one is my top recommendation of these three. Let us know if you've tried Intense Instant Crush and your thoughts, and how does it compare to the OG in your opinion? All right, guys, so we've reached the end of today's video, and I hope that this was not just enjoyable for you, but that it gave you all the information that you need. If you have any additional questions, you know where to find me. As always, thank you so much for hanging with me today, and I will see you all in the next video.